A new study released by the University of Pennsylvania is suggesting that up to 80% of jobs could be impacted with what's happening with artificial intelligence. Now, we've done a couple videos on AI and ChatGPT and all the different applications of it, but specifically in this study, they talked about roles like engineers, accountants, writers, analysts, those type of people, right? Companies could replace their work by using artificial intelligence. So imagine you have 1,000 accountants, right? What if you could get that number down to maybe 10 accountants? I don't think that the role is gonna go away completely. You still need some human oversight, at least in the near future, but eventually maybe it's gonna all be run by artificial intelligence. But it's a very interesting thought to think about what could potentially happen with that industry. So, I'm kind of bearish on accounting, to be honest. If my child is going to university, I'm not gonna suggest for him to be an accountant because maybe that's not going to exist in the future. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a role that, first of all, pays well, but second of all, maybe exists in the future. So if we're analyzing it from the point of view of what makes the most business sense, what markets are growing, what markets are going to continue paying more, I think that maybe if he became somebody who knows how to operate and manage and using AI to create the correct scenarios and knowing what inputs to put into AI in order to get the desired results. Because you can get pretty crazy with what AI can do, but you have to know what inputs to put in. If you're just putting basic inputs, you're gonna get basic outputs, but you could really get smart with it. So somebody that knows how to operate that whole system and understanding how AI thinks and how to leverage it correctly, specifically accounting, I think it's not gonna be a role that goes away, right? So it's probably gonna shrink, definitely, and I think that there's going to be some impact to be seen. But imagine, back to that example, if the company has 1,000 accountants and they can shrink it down to 10 and the other 990 are replaced with AI, think about what that does to their margins. They're not having to pay 990 people, they just cut 990 jobs. Now, it's not good for the accountants, but as a business, that makes you a lot more profitable. And so if we're savvy business owners, and let's say we're just starting a business right now, right? In 2023, we're just starting a business. It's important to realize what's happening with trends and see if we can get ahead of them. So if we know that everything is moving towards more autonomous AI operation, what if we could find a way to integrate it early on and use that to our advantage as a business? That could become our competitive advantage, because if you're a large company making a change like that, that's going to be difficult. You're not as agile as a startup. But as a startup, it doesn't really matter which way you take because the change is going to be easy. You're very agile. You can make changes on a dime. And so implementing AI, and let's say 6 months later, you realize it doesn't work for you, you can always pivot, right? You're not a large company. It's not as big of a risk as a large company doing that. Now, I would say once you're past like 25 million, I would definitely consider whether that's the best route to take and assess the risks of doing that and what that could potentially mean for your business. Because once you start getting over the 25 million mark, that's when you have to have certain structures and people in place. And so you have to have the whole organization on board. And again, you're not as nimble, you're not as agile as a startup who's just starting out and trying different things. So all that to say, another role that could potentially be fully replaced by AI is engineers. So this is specifically software engineers, because now they don't have to write code anymore. AI can literally write a whole program for you. It can write an app for you. It can design a whole website for you. AI is really great in the sense that you're not going to have to spend hundreds or thousands of hours trying to write code line by line. AI can do the bulk of the work and get the majority of it done for then the developer or the engineer to come in and finally finalize things, tweak it a little bit, and make it ready for production. And of course, I think testing, that should always be done by humans, quality control, that type of stuff, because AI is great. It does the bulk, but you still need a human touch, a human element. Now, this also brings me to my last point, where I think that this move towards AI puts companies who are rejecting or avoiding AI in a really strong position. Imagine if you had two options. You could go with a company that's fully operated by AI, or the majority of it is done by AI, or you could work with a company who has human representatives. It is impossible to replace that human touch, that human element, human support. You can't just have AI do everything for you. I think that that human element is going to become that much more special. I think what's going to happen with AI is the market rate is going to drop, right? Because costs go down, and naturally that may transfer to consumers. I'm not saying it will, it could potentially not, but technically, if you're thinking about it, economically speaking, there's going to be some guy out there who maybe is just brand new to business. He's not a big business. He starts a business. He's like, wow, my expenses are super low. I just use AI to do everything. So I can charge half of what the competitors are charging. And he's going to start undercutting the market. And that's going to go on for a while. And then eventually the big dogs are going to notice and they're going to be like, okay, maybe we should charge less. We need to compete with this guy. He's taking all our business. So then they start charging less. And it becomes kind of like a race to the bottom. Who can charge the least amount for that service? And now this actually creates a new opportunity because companies who have human resources and who have human capital employed, those companies can now charge a premium. They could charge, let's say they charged, $100 an hour previously for consulting, right? Now AI can do it for $50, but now the company that has actual humans providing the service, they could easily charge $150 or $200 because they're going to have a bunch of demand from people who just do not want to deal with AI. A lot of people prioritize that human touch, that human element of business, and I don't think it's replaceable. I think that it's a huge competitive advantage for companies who are willing to keep that human element and leverage it in competition with what's going on with AI. But you have to do it correctly again, right? It's probably going to be a process. Now, could we get to the point where it's indistinguishable, whether you're talking to a person or to AI? Yes, and I think that's in the future, but we're not quite there yet. And so I think there's a huge market opportunity that's going to be opening up, and companies that want to step in with that competitive advantage of having actual humans on the phones, talking to people, providing the consulting, doing analysis, right? That's irreplaceable. AI can't do that for now. In the future, I think it's going to be possible, but for now, I think those companies are going to have a huge competitive advantage and they're going to continue growing their businesses and their companies. Now, maybe in 10, 20, 30 years, it's going to be completely different. But for now, I think those companies are safe and they should double down on what they do best unless they see the best path forward to be AI. Guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next video.